This is Steve Colano, and this is Confidential Remarks. Major real estate brokerages are pushing a new strategy, the private exclusive, keeping properties hidden off the open market and quietly shopped around in-house. For most people, a home is the single largest financial asset they will ever own, meaning the exact marketing strategy you choose dictates your ultimate return on investment. This leaves sellers facing a difficult choice when it's time to list. You have to figure out if an off-market listing is a premium VIP service that protects your interests, or if it is simply a corporate strategy designed to hoard inventory. The pitch is certainly attractive. The word exclusive sounds expensive, and it naturally appeals to sellers who want to feel like they are receiving a higher-tier white glove service. But treating an off-market listing as a default status symbol completely obscures the mechanical reality of how real estate pricing actually works. State regulators are starting to notice. Recently, the South Carolina Real Estate Commission issued guidance that directly challenges the private listing model pushed by companies like Compass. The split-screen table illustrates the core conflict. By law, a real estate agent is bound by a fiduciary duty. That is a strict legal obligation to put your financial interests above their own and above their brokerage. The commission officially declared that restricting a property's market exposure directly conflicts with that duty and should be a rare exception, not a standard brokerage business strategy. South Carolina did not make private listings illegal. Instead, they took the burden of proof and shifted it entirely onto the brokerage, recommending the limited exposure. When a state regulatory body issues a formal warning like this, they are telling consumers something important. A brokerage's desire for rapid corporate growth often directly conflicts with a seller's need for an open market. The baseline role in real estate is straightforward. Broad public marketing on the multiple listing service is legally presumed to provide the greatest opportunity for buyer competition. Open exposure creates competitive tension. When multiple buyers bid against each other, that friction is the primary driver pushing a home's final sales price upward. This funnel shows private exclusive mechanics. Bypassing the open market limits exposure. Only agents inside the brokerage know the property is for sale. Agents must disclose the consequences of this math. Fewer buyers, drastically less competition, and a lower final sales price. And finally, less leverage leads to worse transaction terms and a longer total time sitting on the market. There is exactly one tangible benefit to the seller in this scenario: avoiding public showings and maintaining total privacy while the house changes hands. Unless your personal privacy is literally more valuable to you than cash, artificially suppressing buyer competition is a financially irrational decision for a homeowner. If private listings actively lower buyer competition, you have to ask why brokerages spend millions of dollars marketing this strategy to the public. Usually, a listing agent splits the commission with a buyer's agent from a competing firm. But keeping a listing private creates an in-house incentive, increasing the odds of representing the buyer as well, allowing the firm to capture both sides of the commission. The South Carolina Commission explicitly warns agents against recommending limited exposure if the primary goal is to retain commissions or gain a competitive advantage over other firms. Beyond the individual seller, this corporate strategy creates a massive macroeconomic problem, distorting the open market for everyone else in the community. Real estate pricing relies entirely on comparable sales, or comps. This is the publicly available data on what nearby homes recently sold for. When high volumes of properties are sold off market, their transaction data is hidden from the public record, creating an information vacuum. This data vacuum makes it impossible to accurately gauge open market value, directly hurting future buyers and sellers trying to price their own properties. The corporate push for private listings essentially privatizes real estate data for corporate gain, while socializing the cost of an opaque, less efficient market onto the public. Again, private listings are not illegal, but to align with a fiduciary duty, they must be exceptional, driven entirely by the seller and justified by specific documented needs. This decision flowchart maps out if an off-market strategy is right for you based on your priorities. Let's start with the privacy-conscious seller. Off-market listings are legitimate for high-profile individuals or families navigating complex situations where strict privacy is non-negotiable. However, these sellers must be aware they are intentionally trading away top-dollar pricing for convenience. Then there is the ROI-focused seller. For the vast majority, maximizing final sale price and securing favorable terms is the only goal that matters. If your primary goal is maximizing profit, you must categorically reject any marketing strategy that limits market exposure. So when you sit down to interview real estate agents to sell your home, you need to know how to defend your financial interests against a corporate sales pitch. If an agent pitches a private exclusive, give them a simple directive. Ask them to explain exactly what you lose by choosing that route. By law, they must disclose the risk of fewer buyers, a lower final sale price, and any conflicts of interest. If the agent dodges the question or attempts to downplay the financial downsides, they are acting as a corporate salesperson, not a fiduciary. You hold the power over your largest financial asset. By demanding open market exposure, you force the industry to serve your interests rather than quietly serving as inventory for a corporate growth model. This has been Confidential Remarks.